This is the Griffin Realty Group Ask-A-Griffin podcast, episode number 48. We continue in the closing module. How do you stay focused on what you must do? Are you a home seller or a home buyer who has questions about selling or buying residential property, but you can't seem to find an easy way to get the answers? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Griffin Realty Group and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. And to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the very near future, you can take advantage of our free step-by-step guides waiting for you at griffincourses.com. All right, let's get started. So we are in the final phase, the closing phase of purchasing a property. And the question on the table is, how do you stay focused on what you must do? Not everybody else, you. Well, the first point that we need to make here is that you must and should assume 100% responsibility for the outcome of your purchase. Now, I know you're going to say in your mind's eye, well, isn't that why we have you? We have the broker, we have the agent, we have somebody helping us, and we have the attorneys and the title companies and the home inspectors. It sounds like one of those lions and tigers and bears, oh my moments, right? There's a lot going on. But this is your money. This is your purchase, this is your commitment, and this is your process. So it's always best if you just take responsibility. It doesn't mean you have to know everything. Look, I'm doing my best here to educate you on the entirety of the process. And like I said, if you go to griffincourses.com, you can get a copy of what the process really looks like in its entirety, and you can prepare for it. See, most of us delegate, worse, we abdicate the responsibility for such a massive situation to somebody else, also known as the agent, the broker. And I get it. Some of us are really fastidious when it comes to our details, and we have really good teams in place, but we're fallible. Everybody is. I mean, this is a process that has a lot of emotion, a lot of moving parts, a lot of change. A lot of things can be affected in the thick of it, and the closing process is a very harrowing segment of this. Remember, we've got 6 stages that we talk about in a buying process, and we have this one at the end that could be a whole course in and of itself, how to get through a closing. So if you just assume 100% responsibility, you can take a leadership role. That's the best way to say it. You just end up taking a leadership role in your transaction. Think of yourself as the chief executive officer of your purchase. And so how do you do that? Well, the next point is you organize all of your contractors in advance, especially those that you'll need prior to moving in. So what does that mean? Well, if you think about this, you're moving towards a purchase, and that's the emotional part. You're running around, you're looking at properties, and it gets very emotional in a hot market when you're a buyer. As I'm recording this, that's exactly what's happening in my market. It is blazing white hot. And I really feel bad for buyers. I mean, I've been around this business long enough to see plenty of hot markets, and I coach agents across the country. I know what it's like to be an agent and a buyer in that moment. It's difficult. So there are some ideas we have to not get caught up in all that emotion and other ways to find properties other than just going to the hottest ones. But the idea is when you do finally get there, you can't let up. Because when you bought that property, unless it was brand new construction, and even if it was, well, you're going to want some things done. You're going to want a different paint. You might want a new kitchen, new bathrooms. You might want the landscaping all done over. Because you see, when you move in, it's just not the physical piece that you're moving into. You're moving into this lifestyle and the way it feels. And most of us, when we buy something, we want to make it our own. So whatever that means, and that could be as little as, let's assume it's not a city property, so you have some control of the outside. It might be a landscaper to just clean up the landscape the way that you want it. I'm not saying plant every flower and perennial and annual that you'll live with, but just to clean it up. Get a nice clean palette. And when you go inside, same thing, a really deep and thorough cleaning. I know that you've asked the seller to have a professional cleaning and all that sort of thing, and maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Have your own people ready to go so that the minute it closes, presuming that everything goes smoothly, that day you have the painter in there, you have the landscaper there, and a couple days later you have the cleaner there. And that way you can really also organize your mover the right way. Now, I know some of you are ending where you live and you have to move on the same day. I get that. But it's not a bad idea to put some stuff in storage and go with the minimum while people are doing what they have to do to make this your place. So think about that and organize. And again, of course, your realtor, presuming that they're on top of their game, will help you with this. But do your own work. I love the little white search box on my phone and on my laptop. I love it. I wish I had it even when I was a kid. I would have learned so much more at an accelerated rate. Get your own answers about what contractors there might be. Then get some recommendations and vet everybody. Right? Just get all of these people organized. And this goes all the way back to whatever closing attorney gets recommended to you, home inspectors. And then, like I said, all those people that might be doing work for you, not just at the closing time for the next couple of weeks, but on an ongoing basis. Your team, chief executive officer of your purchase. Okay. And the last point here I want to make is never assume anything. And keep asking questions to avoid unnecessary surprises. Look, if your gut tells you, if your instinct tells you that you're feeling insecure about something and you're not quite sure, and sometimes, look at me, I talk fast and I get excited for you. And so I might say something that, you're looking at me trying to process and you don't process as fast as I speak. Ask me again. Ask your agent again. Keep going until, look at again, this is what we get paid to do. We get paid to guide you, until you're satisfied. Look, I'm not saying let worry and fear carry you off into some oblivion. I mean, there is a reasonable amount of questions to ask where you have to listen to the answers and take action. Right? You have to be in a reasonable relationship with your realtor. But if you ask questions about the process of the closing, then there are less surprises. Well, I thought the seller was going to, that was what the walkthrough is for. I mean, were we clear in the contract of what was important to you, that you wanted this specific thing? See what I'm saying? Always assume 100% responsibility. And by the way, something not in writing is always a dangerous place. So if there were expectations in the contract, they need to be in the contract. You want to be as specific as you can in these contracts, especially in Massachusetts, where we go from an offer to purchase to a purchase and sales agreement. Maybe not the case in every state, but that's what we do. So if something was found during the home inspection and there were agreements about furniture, just put everything in writing so that your expectation, so that closing day, which is already stressful, there's no big surprise. And don't wait to the last minute if you don't have to do the walkthrough if there are items that are supposed to be taken care of. And then be prepared with your attorney and ask, what happens if they don't do this at the closing? What do we do? Do we do a holdback? Are we prepared for that? Are these people going to make it? Right? All of that's okay to talk about, to ask, because when you don't assume, then you're in control. Again, what I'm trying to help you with is control. That's what everybody wants, is a sense of control. None of us want to be taken advantage of. So act like the chief executive officer of your transaction. So let me go back and talk about this. So remember, we are doing a podcast episode here, you and I, talking you and me, proper English, speaking together about the closing process, which is the last piece of your purchase, but a very nerve-wracking section of the process. So the question on the table during closing is, how do you stay focused on what you must do, not everybody else? And the way you stay focused is, number one, you assume 100% responsibility for the outcome of your purchase. And my little quip there was, pretend you're the chief executive officer of your purchase, and all of us work for you. Next, number two, organize all of your contractors as far in advance, especially those you'll need right prior to moving in. And lastly, never assume you know or are on top of anything perfectly if your gut's telling you that you're not. Keep asking questions, and that way you'll avoid unnecessary surprises. All right? So let me summarize it this way. Although there are many professionals involved in a real estate transaction that might be helping you, it's best to assume 100% responsibility for the outcome of your own purchase. To ensure the smoothest process, have all of your contractors ready to make your new home ready for you to start your new chapter with a really nice, clean slate. All right, remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the near future by getting our free step-by-step guides, the full guide. I'm giving you pieces on the podcast, but you can get the full guides, and they're waiting for you at griffincourses.com. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen, or find any of these on our social media channels so that you don't miss out on insights each time we upload an episode. You can stay informed that way. But of course, we'd also appreciate if you would comment and share this content with anybody thinking about doing this so everybody gets the help that they need. You don't have to use us as the agent or the broker. We just want to help. Let's make this a better process. Now, remember, I sign off the same way all the time. Nobody's coming for you. We talked about that today, 100% responsibility. Nobody's coming for you. So take action and get to work on your own plan for buying or selling your next property. All right. Remember, we'll see you in the next episode to help you do just that. But we really appreciate you listening. Thanks.